Hey girl, welcome back to the channel. Today's episode is one that I'm so excited about because it's not just me speaking to you. In today's episode, I'm interviewing a woman who literally started a side hustle to make $300 a day.
I just needed to make $300 a day.
Because she wanted to quit her 9-to-5 job.
When I was assistant principal, I wanted to leave my job.
And now she has taken that skill from that side hustle and turned it into a business that now generates, wait for it,
2018, I make about $35,000. Next year, I make $1 million. Next year, $20 million. And it just goes crazy.
She has received numerous awards like the 40 Under 40 from Black Enterprise, and she has been featured in Forbes, Good Morning America, for helping thousands of people generate income through investing.
Actively investing.
Her course is the highest selling course on Teachable, helping over 35,000 people, some of whom have earned as much as $1,000 in a day from investing and $10,000 in a day from investing. And in today's episode, she's gonna be spilling the tea on everything from what pushed her to want to quit her job.
It got to a place where it was just a little bit too toxic.
To start a side hustle, to turning that side hustle into a business, to even building with God, because she is a God girl. She's a faith-based woman, just like me and just like a lot of you who watch this channel. And even if you don't believe in God, even if you don't have faith, this episode would still inspire you, because I am so certain that this could very much be the beginning of a new season of your life. And the reason why I'm certain is because I prayed for you. And I prayed that every woman who watches this episode would tap into something, would learn something, take a skill, and then launch to wealth, which is exactly what Teri has done. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hi, Teri. It's so good to have you.
I'm so glad to be on your podcast. I follow you.
Oh, wow.
And I would watch you all the time. And I was like, this girl is so good.
I follow you everywhere. And I'm just so inspired that, a Black woman of God is making such an impact and building something so powerful. You're amazing. So tell me, how did you go from assistant principal to being a businesswoman who's built a business that's generated over $50 million? Like, what do we need to know about Teri to give us context for that?
You have to know that I have always been an entrepreneur and I have always had a side hustle.
Okay.
One of my side hustles is that I was in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm also...
While you were working full time?
Yeah, even now.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
a managing real estate broker. People don't know that, but...
So you have a side hustle even with your business?
Girl. Yep, so like I can actually, if someone buys a house, I can get the full commission.
Okay.
I can manage realtors.
Okay.
Part of the seed money I used to start investing was the commissions that I was getting from real estate.
Wow.
Yep. And then, so I'm still in education, but I'm helping teachers. Now I'm using that money to start investing. So now I'm investing on the side. I'm in full-time ministry, but I'm supplementing it with investing in the stock market. So it's been a side hustle. Even as assistant principal, I was just having a side hustle of trading.
Wow, that's amazing. And I noticed that everything that you do involves helping people. So yes, you're getting paid for it, but you're also like impacting people's lives. Is that something that's important to you?
I think I've been called to serve. I'm a God girl, you know that. I went to seminary, love Jesus. But I think the Lord has called me to have money, but as a way to finance other ministries. So I can't by myself reach everybody in the world, but I can help fund ministries to reach people in the world.
That is amazing. And it sounds like you're not just wealthy, but you have purpose income. And that's just so fantastic. That's awesome. So let's talk more about the trade and travel. Okay. What is it about? Like, what is trade and travel? What is trading? I know what trading is, but a lot of people don't. So do you want to explain that?
So my version of trading is a little different than a lot of people.
Okay.
It's really just actively investing.
Okay.
So some people will buy a stock and then they just hold it in there and they forget about it and they let it go. For me, as long as you're more actively paying attention to it, you're in there seeing if it's gone up and made some profit, moving your money around if maybe it's not invested in the right thing as much. Trading really is just actively investing, actively taking profits when you get some and actively putting money to work when stocks come down. That's really all it is.
Wow.
And then some people, they get like caught up in the day trade versus swing trade and like all this. Honestly, If you learn to put your money in when it's inexpensive and then take money out when it's profitable or a little bit more expensive, it really doesn't matter the time frame. It doesn't matter if you do that in a day or if you do that in a year. Anything less than a year, though, they call trading.
Awesome. And is it something anyone can do? Because a lot of people don't even invest at all because they're intimidated, especially a lot of women who are our viewers.
Yes.
A lot of women are kind of scared. Like, is it hard? Is it complicated? Or is it something someone who is not in finance can do?
I will say it can be a little stressful. So I don't want people to think like it's super duper easy. It's not. Let me tell you about the whole trade and travel thing, because I think that will help. When I was assistant principal, I wanted to leave my job.
Okay.
It got to a place where it was just a little bit too toxic. And I feel like a lot of women, especially black women, we can feel the tension sometimes in our workplace.
And we're like, I have to do my own thing.
Right? Exactly. So what I decided is, for my assistant principal salary, I just needed to make $300 a day to replace my income.
Okay.
And so for me, what trading meant was I needed to just be able to invest in the stock market in order to make $300.
Okay.
So that could mean like, okay, I buy 300 shares of a company, and when it moves $1, I take some profit, and now I got my 300. And then that's a whole day. That's a whole day's worth of work.
Yeah.
Versus me going in the office being mad, cussing out my bosses underneath my breath, because I wouldn't actually say it out loud.
Of course.
But I would think it.
Yeah, dealing with people that stress you out and go home and keep thinking about them.
Right. Instead of the stress and crying, I could actually press a couple buttons, make $300, and then that would replace 8 hours of work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's actually what it meant to me. If I could just make enough to replace my income, then I could have my free time back. I wouldn't have to have a boss, and then I could have more time. And for me, I wanted to travel. So I was like, okay, if I could trade these stocks, I can afford the hotel room, I can afford the excursion, I can afford the plane ride. So that's where trade and travel came from.
That's amazing. I love it. See. So now that you do this full time, you run Trade and Travel full time, how has your life changed? Do you feel like you have, obviously you do because you didn't really like the previous job, but how has your life changed for the better now that you do your own thing, you're walking in your own purpose?
I think there's two different sides of it.
Okay.
One, how has trading changed my life? And that's how has having more income and not being attached to a location and having kind of more freedom for myself, how has that changed my life? And then there's my business of teaching people and it growing like crazy and over 50 million of revenue. How has that changed my life?
Yeah.
So I think the freedom part, that initial part, like, it is priceless to be able to say that I can work with who I want to work with, when I want to work, where I want to work from. Like, being able to control those things, like that personally gives me a freedom that I can't explain. Because of the fact that I was so stressed out when I was under someone else's, their restrictions.
Tug and pull,
So being able to just have this skill set that I can pull out whenever I want to, that has just allowed me to be more free. It's allowed me to have a little less stress. It's allowed me to control my own time. Like, I've traveled more. I've had more time with my family. So those things are just
priceless.
Unexplainable. And then we say, like, okay, well, also on top of that, you started teaching other people how to do it. Now you're impacting lives. You are helping 35,000 students. You are teaching and inspiring hundreds of thousands of people around the world. What does that feel like? That feels like I am doing what God asked me to do. That feels like I'm being obedient. And the Bible says obedience is actually showing God love. So I feel like I'm actually in alignment with what God wants me to do. And honestly, it can be scary sometimes. And I don't want people to feel like being in alignment is always going to be happy. Like, I'm going to feel joyful and glad. No, at times I feel like, man, Lord, do I got to go speak today? Do I have to show up for these people? Oh, man.
Yeah, it can get stressful too.
It also can feel like an obligation sometimes, but I think it is. It's the same way that Jesus had to carry a cross, like sometimes being in alignment, like this is the cross that we bear as well, but it's helping so many people. So when you hear the testimonies, I actually went to Greece recently, and I was on a hop on, hop off bus. You know, the double decker buses.
Yeah.
So I'm in Greece, in Athens, about to go see the Acropolis. I get on, and a lady walks on the bus. Hey, Teri.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, how did she
How do you know?
This is Greece.
I'm
Like,
on holiday. Yeah.
She reaches out her hand and she's like, I just want you to know that you have changed my life. I am in your course, and I'm actually on this trip because you allowed me to come on this trip.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
so
seeing
amazing.
those kind of testimonies and seeing that I am changing lives, like that has shown me that God is real.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And that actually flows perfectly with my next question. How have you seen the hand of God on your journey? Like, do you think that like God is a part of your journey? And
yes.
have you seen his fingerprints on the journey?
Oh yes.
Tell me.
So, where to start? Okay, so first of all, back in 2018, that's when I first decided to have this class, and I was finishing seminary.
Okay.
It was my 7th year of seminary. I was one semester left to go, and I actually asked the school if I could do a class. So my first class for trade and travel was in seminary school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like God is all over all of this.
From day one, too.
Right, from day one. The professor was like, so you're the one teaching? You want to talk about stocks? But I was like, yeah, I want to talk about stocks. And he's like, you know, it's a seminary, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, but you're going to be the one teaching. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be the one teaching. They're like, okay, well, we'll give you a room. And turns out my advisor at the seminary, he was learning how to invest.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, okay, well, I'll come to your class.
Oh,
and we're going to give you a room.
That's awesome.
71 people showed up.
Oh my God, for the first session.
For the first session. Well, I had a class in Thailand overseas.
Okay.
I had a class in Thailand, and then I had a class in Vietnam.
Okay.
And I had taken pictures on Instagram just showing what I was doing while I was traveling.
Yeah.
So when I got back in Dallas, that's when my friends were like, well, we want a class too.
Okay.
And that's when I went to the school and was like, well, people keep asking me to do this class. Can I borrow a room? So I believe that God has been all over this. When I was in seminary thinking that I was going to go work for a church, I think he was preparing me that this is going to be your ministry. You just don't know it. And it's going to still impact thousands and millions of people, but it'll be outside the walls of the church. So I think I just had a small mindset of like,
God always thinks bigger for us.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
We have our own little plans, and he's like, watch me.
Right. All I need you to do is finish, because that was another part of it. One of the things that I had prayed about was, Lord, I don't even know if I really need to finish seminary. I don't think I'm really going to use this degree. Like, why? Because at the time I was traveling before I had come back to do this final semester.
Yeah.
And the school had called me and said, hey, you know, it's been 7 years, girl. You need to finish. So that was my big prayer. Like, Lord, I'm about to go to Bali, but you want me to go back home to Dallas and finish up this seminary? Can you imagine if I had decided, I'm not going to?
I don't care. Yeah.
I wouldn't have even been in the right position or place for this blessing to come.
Yep.
So, right?
Obedience is just something.
Obedience is everything. Everything. And you can imagine, this is my last semester, so I'm literally finishing finals. I am taking tests. I am stressed out, but I'm still like, I just heard like, finish, just do it. Just do it. But I still decide, okay, I'm going to teach this class. And I had a friend from Thailand, actually, who had called and said, I'll help you finish the slides. Like, if you write the slides up, because I was like, I'm in finals. I don't have time for this. He's like, if you do the slides, I'll make them pretty. So I told him all the slides. It was called Intro to the Stock Market. This is our first class. He's like, I'll make the slides pretty. So just being in the right place, right time, even finishing seminary, like this was the Lord setting me up for what he really wanted me to do and how he really wanted me to serve. And I feel like people don't realize that finances are such a big part of everyone's life that being able to help them with their finances is ministry. Like if you can help someone feel like they can have more abundance, then all of a sudden their stress goes down. All of a sudden they have more capacity to do other things. You're doing that too. So like being able to serve in this financial capacity is really helping people serve in so many other ways.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I still at this point was thinking, I'm going to just have a husband. I'm going to be a first lady. And y'all, thank you for this class. You know, this one class. Hopefully you like it. Because
over 30,000 people will love it. You didn't even know that.
I didn't know that. I was like, I'm serving these 70 people, and my thought at that time was, wow, this went really well. Maybe once a month I'll do a live class. Maybe the school will let me borrow the room again. But then people started asking me from other places like Atlanta and LA, hey, when are you going to come do the class for us? And I decided, okay, well, I'll put it online. Again, I am not thinking that this is going to be a big thing. But I will say, when we talk about God and why I know he's part of this and why I know he's real.
I have chills. Tell me.
There was this meeting in Atlanta. And it was so random. I got an email and it was like, hey, we want you to be on TV. And it was a Christian TV station. And they were like, we want you to be on TV. We're going to talk about like women in wealth, but it was God and wealth. And there was a panel of about 4 of us, but all together we were shooting like a full day's worth of programming for this Christian TV station. And it was about 20 of us all together. And I remember I didn't know anything about it, but something said, you need to go. Go be part of this thing. It was in Atlanta. And I know some of this, for some people, is going to sound woo-woo, but I know for us, like, we know how God works.
He does.
So I'm like, I need to be there. Something's telling me I need to go. I went, and while I was there, people started prophesying to me. This is before my business is big. This is 2018 still. Beginning stages. And so y'all can kind of see like where this is fitting in the story. 2018, I have my first class. I make about 35,000. Yeah. Next year, I make $1 million. Next year, 20 million, and it just goes crazy.
Wow!
Right?
Wow!
And so now we're over 50 million in profits. Yeah. But this is before I knew any of this, and this is before the course was even really fully complete. So I go to this event and we do the thing. We have this panel. We do our thing for the TV station. It's a small TV station, nothing big. All of a sudden, the room breaks out in prophecy, and everyone starts praising. And I'm not a prophetess, but I'm like watching all these women. But I know that God is real, so I'm just sitting. A lady comes and sits next to me, and she's like, Teri, the Lord has said that you're going to be wealthy. Like, I've seen it. I've seen you looking at your bank account and being like you're surprised to see the amount that's in your bank account. And she's like, I see you in, and she had told me different places that she saw me around the world. She's like, I see you speaking, and I see you in all these things. Like, she's just telling me these things that she's seeing. Wow. And at this time, I haven't seen all that wealth, but I believe her. And then I'm still in Atlanta. I go to another event. I'm in line to get food. The lady in the line turns around. You are a very wealthy woman. And I'm
what?
Like, yes.
Oh my God,
and
love
this
God.
happens like 3 times. People out of nowhere. I've never met them. Like, you're a very wealthy woman. Wow. And I believe them. And now, coming into where I am now, the $50 million me, I remember the $60,000 me or $0 me at the time, because I had quit my job and was traveling and, just making it work. I remember that girl, and when God was like, no, I already know you at this stage. I need you to know, So I know, like, it was prophesied over me. The Lord has already said who I will be. And when they say in the prayer, like, as it is in heaven, so it will be on earth. I think the Lord knows me and has seen me in heaven. He knows that I'm going to be funding his ministry. He knows that the reason why he's given me money is so that I can serve in this way. And those prophecies have come true. And now what's cool though is I'm like, it's not over. Yes. I'm 39.
Wow, there's still so much life,
young.
so much to do. Yes.
So now I can't wait to see what God has like at the $100 million me
Mm-hmm.
or the
billion dollar
me.
you. Yes.
He's seen it. He knows it already.
Mm-hmm.
So now I just got to walk in faith and walk into who that already is. So I'm so excited actually.
I love it. I'm excited too.
I'm excited for this phase in my life to see what God does because He is such an abundant God.
Unlimited too.
Right? You know the thing that I've been praying lately? I feel like so let me tell you such a problem I've been having and then I feel like I've been praying wrong about it.
Okay.
So I've been trying to figure out where I want to live.
Okay.
Right now I live in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for my business.
Yeah.
Because it's better with taxes for traders and business owners.
Yeah.
But I have been feeling like I didn't have community. And I went to a conference recently, Woman Evolve conference. There was 4. Did you go?
I did. I missed
Did you hear
it.
about it?
Of course.
Girl,
I'm going next year.
40,000. I can remember looking at the auditorium and actually one thing that was really cool is they were talking on stage and I remember God intentionally saying, don't look at the presenter, look at the people.
Wow.
Because I don't want you to look at the performance. I want you to look at the impact.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started looking at the auditorium and there's 40,000 women of color and I'm just intentionally looking at every section. This was the Texas Rangers baseball field.
Yeah.
So it's huge, but it's full of Black women, all worshiping God.
Oh my God.
And I look and I'm looking intentionally at every single section. I start first on the floor and I'm looking, this is the impact. Then I go to each of the different sections. And this whole time I'm kind of praying for them. And then I'm looking. And then all of a sudden God says, this is what your impact looks like. We're online all the time.
Yes. You don't realize that they're human beings.
They are human beings. These are people. So if I've had 35,000 people in my course, this full stadium is the impact that we've been able to have with Trade and Travel. And it's just starting.
Yes.
But it was really cool. So I say all that to say, I went to Woman Evolve.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, sorry, I'm telling you all these stories, but.
I love it. That's why we're here. I love it.
Good.
It's perfect.
Story time.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll go fast. But, so I've been trying to decide where to live.
Yeah.
I want to also move to Dallas because my family is there.
Okay.
And the problem that I was having, and this is where I think that I have to increase my faith, and I think hopefully just telling this story will help someone else too.
Yeah.
My whole prayer was, Lord, tell me where to live. Wherever you see me, tell me where to live. And during the Woman Evolve conference, I had this feeling that I should maybe move back home. Maybe it's time to go back to Dallas.
Yeah.
Even one of the sessions was about bring it on home. And I was like, okay,
you're speaking to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Lord, are you telling me something? And then the guy even said, he's like, some of you guys are going to move back to Dallas.
Wow.
Like,
and it was in Dallas too, specifically.
It was in Dallas. I'm looking at the impact, girl, all these things. But the wrong prayer. So my prayer was, Lord, tell me where to live. And then recently, what's come to mind for me is there's a story in the Bible where they were talking about taxes. And Jesus says, hey, pay, I think it was give Caesar what's due.
Yeah.
And so he tells, and I believe it's Paul, sometimes I mess up my names, but he tells one of his disciples, okay, I want you to go to the lake and I want you to put the rod in. There's going to be a fish. And in that fish's mouth is going to be a coin. That's the coin that you need to go pay taxes. First of all, there's so many things in that story. The fact that Jesus knows that the exact fish, it's you can niche down. Some people think, there was a time, and I believe this, not Paul, it wasn't Paul. It was Peter.
I'm going to read it after.
Yeah, it was Peter. But the thing I remember about it is in the past, he had told that same disciple, cast your net and you're going to get a ton of fish. This time, he said, I want you to put you to put it in there and you're going to get one fish. So there's times in your life where you can niche down and God will tell you exactly one place.
You're preaching to me.
And then, and then in that fish's mouth was what he needed. And what I realized I was praying wrong about is I'm over here trying to move my whole life in order to cover my taxes. But what I really should be praying is, Lord, tell me where to go. Tell me the fish where the tax will already be. Just provide where you want the tax to be. Then I'm not moving my whole life around. Actually, let me come to you, ask you for your help, and then you tell me where the money will be. And I know I feel like I'm not saying it as powerfully as I could be, but hopefully someone will understand.
You're already preaching to me.
Okay, good. Like, we try to put it in our control, and we move our whole life thinking that, okay, let me do this, and then this is how I'm going to figure it out.
Instead of asking God how to help you figure it out.
Yes, and how to provide.
How to provide as well.
Because he is strong enough that he knows the exact fish that will have in its mouth the money. He knows exactly where to go. And he can direct us if we were to just ask. So it's crazy. So I don't know. I'm excited for where the Lord has me next, and I'm excited to start leaning on him better and praying the right prayers. Like, Lord, provide.
And resting in him as well.
Yes.
Knowing you don't have to figure every single thing out by yourself.
Yes. And I feel like somebody's probably thinking, well, Teri, God's already provided for you. Like, you're multimillionaire, you got it all.
There's always still much more. God is limitless.
Right. God is so abundant. So abundant. I told you, I'm believing for the $100 million me.
And the $1 billion
me.
Yeah.
And I actually know that they already exist.
Exactly. And God knows that too.
And I'm more so praying in this season, Lord, let me be obedient to be where you want me to be for your will. Because I can put myself where I think I need to be, but you have
Won't you preach?
Right, this whole purpose and plan. You have places where you are already at work. And if I really am going to be in your will, let me just align with where you're already at work.
Because he can see parts of the picture you can't even see yet.
Exactly. So that's my prayer.
I love it so much, Teri. This has been so powerful. And even though I know thousands of women are going to benefit from this, I have been preached to as well. It's been wow, your story is profound. But one thing I want to close out with is, how does it feel? Because, sometimes we do, even when we're walking in our purpose, we think, oh, when I get to the other side, then I would feel something. I would feel like a different person. Like, I would feel completely different from how I feel right now as this version of me. How does it feel to be on the other side? How does it feel to be walking confidently in the space God wants you to be walking in? Does it feel, does your wholeness come from there?
No. Honestly, and I've actually talked to the camera because I feel like someone needs to hear this.
Okay.
Have you ever had a birthday? Oh, this one? Okay. Have you ever had a birthday and you were changing from one age to the next? Like, when I was going from 38 years old to being 39 years old, and everybody asks you, like, well, how does it feel? And you're like,
the same way I felt yesterday.
Right, it does not feel any different. I'm still the same person that I was yesterday. Somebody else just has told me now that I'm now 39 years old. Right? And if nobody said anything, like, in your mind, you would still be the same age. Right? Like, honestly, I feel like that's how it feels when you become wealthy. You're the same person. One of my coaches tells me, he's like, wherever you go, you are still there.
That's a word.
Right?
It's so true, but we don't even think about it.
Right. We think all of a sudden something's going to happen and now we're going to be a different person.
No.
You're the same. So I think really it's at whatever level you're at, working on your character, working on who you are as a person. And then when the money comes, you will be the same person, but now you just have more ability to impact.
It'll be like you amplified, but it will still be you.
It'll still be you. And even with giving, I had to practice that at every level.
Mm.
There were times in my life where I was like, I want to give some money to my little brother. I was like, but let me get more, and then I'll give him $1,000. And God challenged me, well, why not give him $1,000 now? Even though it's a sacrifice for you now, that's going to build your character more than trying to wait for you to get to a certain level.
Yeah.
So I would say I didn't feel a huge change at the different levels, especially because I knew it was God's money, not my money. But I will say at every single level, I've had to work on myself so that I could be ready to hold the capacity of this new blessing.
Powerful. I don't think we could end it on a higher note. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Teri. So you've heard everything that Teri has shared today. Remember that you can do any single thing you put your mind to, and God has a purpose for your life. And it is okay to build wealth. It is okay to live in abundance, even as a woman of faith. Remember that I'm rooting for you, so please do not stop rooting for yourself. And until next time, please take care